But I think we need to reflect on what's going on in the world, not just in America.
I'm interested in your role, because here you are, as we say, you were brought up as a Christian, you converted, you're now advising the president.
I didn't abandon my core values. When I entered into Islam, nothing my parents taught me, my core values, none of them were abandoned.
What I'm wondering is why it is that the president can come to you almost as...
One time. I don't think that warrants me to be called a presidential advisor.
You have been called, Bush's pet Muslim, a collaborator, a Western patsy.
I think that you're always going to find that Muslims that really attempt to go out and do something. I think that there is a provincialism amongst certain segments of Muslims, that there's a provincialism that's very dangerous. I think we find it in the West. I think that in the time we're living in, we need to break this stuff down. We need to build some bridges. I think the world is too polarized right now. I think bridges need to be made. We have to get out of this type of language, because it's a very dangerous language, black and white, us versus them. The world's a little more interdependent. I think the fact that over 1,000 Muslims, which is probably 20% of the people killed in the World Trade Center, that were Muslims, which represents their statistical numbers out in the real world, 200 of which were illegal Bangladeshi immigrants, which is also a tragic metaphor for what's going on.
How easy is it, as a Muslim, and presumably you strive to be a good Muslim, to live in a non-Muslim country?
I think that the freedoms that exist in America, in Britain, I think they're extraordinary, and I don't want to lose them. I really don't. I think the Bill of Rights of the United States of America is an incredible document. I think that much of what is in the Constitution is very consistent with Islamic legal theory.
And yet also turn on the television, you're walking past bars, I mean...
Well, you have a choice. Nobody's ever put a gun to my back and said, go into the bar and have a drink. Nobody's ever put a gun to my back, watch pornography. Nobody's ever put a gun...
But there is a thinking among the Muslim community that to be a good Muslim, it is easier, it is best to live among other Muslims.
You know, it's interesting that I've met many immigrants who said it's much easier for me to be a Muslim in the West than it is to be a Muslim in the Muslim world. I swear to God, I've met many Muslims.
Why?
Because there's more freedom in this country. I don't think you realize, I would hope, because you seem a very intelligent person, but there's not freedom of assembly in Muslim countries. Muslims can't even get together. People can't, in most Muslim countries, there's not freedom of speech. Really, do you realize that? Are you aware of that? Seriously, I've lived there. Do you know that I've visited people in the Muslim country, and they're visited by secret police to ask what we talked about? What type of terror is that? I mean, isn't that a type of state terror?
What about, so what is your view of the Taliban regime?
I think the Taliban is a tragic result of the fact that Afghanistan was a victim of the Cold War. It was invaded by Russia. It was used militarily by America. In a sense, America did them a great favor by helping them get rid of the Russian aggressor. But after they did that at a cost of 1.5 million Afghani lives, imagine that suffering, 1.5 million people. The mining of their country, millions of mines everywhere, hold on, and then America, their own CIA analysts in the administration have admitted that they warned them, don't walk away from this. There was no Marshall Plan. Think about Nazi Germany. The Nazis the Germans went insane 13 years after the Versailles Treaty. Out of the humiliation of the Versailles Treaty, the Weimar inflation, the country went insane. The Muslims have been living in a lot of humiliation for over 100 years.
Explain this just briefly. You are a Muslim living in the West, and yet you're saying that all these Islamic countries, all of them, because of the way the politics,
no, not all of them.
They've got it wrong.
I think a lot of them do. Unfortunately, there's a lot of good in the Muslim world. There's a lot of...
Do you see an arrogance in that?
In what? In my position?
Yes, it's the Western culture system, value system is fine and good and the right way to do things.
I think, hold on. I'm not melodramatic, all right? Things aren't black and white, really. I don't see them. I think there's a lot of problems in the West. I really do. I think we have a lot of very serious social problems. I think the Enlightenment ideals, the things that we're committed to ideologically, most of them are very consistent with Islam. And I think that's the best of the West. And that is a tradition I grew up in. My father was a humanities teacher. And I'm committed to many of those same ideals. On the other hand, there's a lot of decadence. There's a lot of things that trouble me greatly about the West, the breakdown of family, all of these things. Muslims are as distressed as many Western people about these things in these societies. I think good Western people are as distressed about these things. I think television, a lot of what's on television, bothers many good fair-minded Western people. For the Muslims, a lot of this stuff is shocking because they still live within the framework of a traditionalism that has become rather quaint in the West.
Hamza Yusuf,
All
thank you
right,
very
well,
much
thank
for
you.
coming on.